So it's another beautiful day. Sure has been a fantastic summer. I keep saying it in every video. It's just great. So kind of getting me to wishing for winter a little bit, I guess, or fall at least. I mean, think about all the colors in the trees. Those who've been with me will know that that's just beautiful when those start to turn. And then winter, and they're talking about a pretty hard winter this year. Snow and cold. We'll start up that fireplace probably in October. Pretty exciting. I don't know, I don't like winter. Well, at least in the past I didn't like winter, but this year I really am looking forward to it. So a couple things I wanted to talk about today about off-grid and get away from the SHTF so much and talk about some off-grid stuff. As you know, we incubated 15 chickens. We tried to incubate 22 eggs, 15 were successful. We haven't lost any of those incubated. We bought 7 Brahmas, 5 hens, 2 roosters, and they're going to be meat birds. They get to be about 10 pounds for the roosters, which will be much better than what we incubated this year, because those are Americanas and they'll get up maybe 5-6 pounds. We'll start replacing some of the older hens that we have with the newer hens, kind of cycle them out. That way they don't all stop producing eggs at the same time. And we'll do a few like that each year. I suspect we have 7 hens here. So we'll take the 7 hens and we'll put them over there with the older chickens when they start producing eggs. We'll take, I guess, 3 of the hens over there. And then we had 2 chickens that a Brahma roosted on for 3 weeks, and we got 2 Brahmas out of that. I said Brahmas, Buff Orpingtons. So they were produced several weeks before the incubated ones. So that gives us 17 chickens. So that means we'll probably have 7 roosters that we incubated that we'll butcher. Plus the hens, there's 3 hens, so that'd be 10 chickens. It's not a lot this year. And so what we're thinking is probably mid-September, so about a month from now, we're gonna incubate some more. That'll give us enough time to get these guys butchered, and we'll start in on the next batch. But by the time it gets really cold, they'll come out, they'll have their feathers on, so it's not a big deal to do it in early winter. Although they're saying this is supposed to be a really cold winter. So we're trying to figure out how to expand our system here a little bit. So as you know, we have an IBC tank over here that we use as a chicken coop, plus our chicken coop. But we're just getting too many chickens now. So we're thinking about getting 3 more IBC tanks. It's growing up on weeds here, but I think it looks kind of nice. Helps shield the IBC tank a little bit from the sun. Keeps them cooler. So I left it there, that's why I didn't tear it down. But we're thinking we'll get 2 more of these. And we'll put the second one right here. They'll line up nicely. And we can get about 15 is what we're seeing in the IBC tank comfortably. So since we can't get all the chickens in there now, what I've been doing at night is I've been taking this coroplast and I've been laying it down with chickens inside there. That keeps them pretty protected. That'd be 30 chickens that we can put. And then we can get, well, I think we can probably get up about 20-25 chickens in the coop itself. And then we're going to get another IBC tank and put it here. That'll be another 15 chickens. That way we'll have enough for the incubated chicken side. We'll have enough for the full grown side. And we don't have to constantly be trying to figure out how to rearrange them and all that. It's kind of stressful trying to raise meat birds, because you put the older chickens in with the littler chickens, the younger chickens, and the older chickens just beat the heck out of them. As a matter of fact, the 2 that the Buff Orpingtons, the Buff Orpington laid on for 3 weeks, they're bigger than most of the chickens on the other side, the adult chickens, the Americanas. But the Americanas, we put them over there, the 2 young ones, we put them over there, and the Americanas beat them up even though they're much smaller. So it's kind of stressful trying to integrate them all, and everybody's got an idea on how to do it, but none of it works. So we keep them separated and then just open up the door later and they'll all kind of mingle together. So we have 10 birds that we'll butcher. Not as many as I'd hoped for this year, but we're okay. This was kind of our trial period to make sure the incubator worked and that we could run it off solar panels. And I showed you all that this spring and it all worked fantastic. So doing it again here in the fall, we'll get more on the second batch to butcher, but we really wanted to keep some of the hens because we're afraid that something might go wrong in the world, and we want to make sure we have enough eggs to eat on a daily basis. Yeah, I mean, we could dip into our stockpile of our winter food or storage of food, whatever you want to call it. I hear something over there. It sounds big. Must be a deer in the woods. There is something out there. I don't know what's going on. Right now we get about 8 eggs a day, 7 to 8 eggs a day, and that's doing us pretty good. But I think we'd be a lot better off if we could get about 15 eggs a day. I don't see anything out here. That way, if we had to just eat eggs 2 times a day, that would be plenty of food for us. Plus the Brahmas, I told you about the Brahmas, they're going to be our meat birds. They'll produce eggs in the wintertime. So we'll be able to have eggs all year round, which is key. Everybody says, well, you need to water glass them and store them. I don't want to store eggs. The more you store, the more that can go wrong. If you can eat what you're producing, the better off you are. The other day I told you a story where I kept hearing the jars pop, and I thought we were losing everything. Turned out it was a jar outside that Carolyn put grease in. So, I mean, it wasn't a catastrophe, but if all those jars had opened up, all that food would have been gone. So I think storing, there's an inherent risk to it that you're going to lose it. So if you can prevent loss by just eating what you're producing, it's a much better plan. So again, self-sustaining. Now last night we had a kind of a horror story. Something I thought could happen. It wasn't terrible, but it could have been terrible. I don't know if you know this. I didn't know it until last year. Possums can climb fences. And the way I found out last year was, last year we had just chicken wire and this gauge wire, I forget what it's called, field wire. I think it's called field wire. So we had chicken wire, field wire. And what happened was a possum, and I caught it on my trail cam. The possum reached in there, grabbed a wing of one of our chickens, and tore the wing off and ate the wing. Now we put a roof on there just to keep the flying birds out, the predators, because we have such a bald eagle issue. I don't want to say problem because they're beautiful, but we got a lot of bald eagles around here, and they're always swarming above, always. So it's important that we keep the bald eagles out, but it was never designed to keep out land predators. So that's why we put them in the coop at night, and then we close off the coops. Well, when he grabbed that chicken wing, then we put this hardware cloth around it. So now we have 3 layers of fence. A little bit ridiculous. This stuff's pretty expensive, the hardware cloth. So we just use the top layer. That way the chickens won't come up here. So the possum, even if he came up here, he wouldn't be able to grab the chicken wings or anything. Now that's before we put our meat birds inside an IBC tank. This was last year. They just laid out here on the ground. And like I said, we only lost 1 to predators. Well, last night, Carolyn, I don't know how to explain this. I'd like to explain it from my perspective, but I'm just not going to be able to. So last night, Carolyn, I'm asleep, and I wear earplugs at night. I just sleep better with earplugs. And I know a lot of people criticize me for sleeping with earplugs, but to me, I just rather get a good, nice, restful sleep. Because, you know, anxieties and depressions and all those mental illnesses that can creep in because you're not getting enough sleep, I'd rather avoid so I can be happy and live free and all that stuff. We don't live in an SHTF situation now, so I don't need to really worry about being on guard 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I go to bed about 9:30, and Carolyn goes to bed, well, it ranges, but sometime after midnight. She apparently just laid down to go to sleep, and she heard a thump, 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 thump type of noise coming from down here. She got up and grabbed her flashlight and walked down here, and she saw a possum inside the chicken run. So as I said, possums can climb over. So can raccoons, but you wouldn't think a possum could because they look like a clumsy animal. But got in there. So she ran back up the hill to get me, and I come running down here. By the time I got down here, and it was only a couple seconds. It really didn't take me long to get down here. It had already left. I set a live trap last night. This was at 12:30. I don't know if I mentioned that. So I set a live trap, and this morning I had a raccoon in it. That always happens to me. The animal that I'm trying to catch never gets trapped right away. It's always other animals. So the key is that the IBC tank kept that possum out. What we think is happening is I feed the chickens at night, and I just pour it right out into their chicken dispenser in the chicken run. I don't put the chicken feed inside the coops. You don't want them eating at night. They'll get big and fat. That way they get up in the morning, they come out and they can eat. I think what he's doing is he's eating the feed. And so he's not really interested in the chickens, he's interested in the feed. I think, and I've seen this in the past, possums are less aggressive than raccoons. Raccoons will go in there and they'll slaughter your entire flock. But a possum's not really interested in a fight. He's interested in easy food. Well, we did notice some feathers laying out there, but we're not sure how there was any feathers missing from any of the chickens, because on the IBC tank I got that chicken wire. Maybe a chicken was kind of had his tail hanging out and the possum tried to grab it. I mean, we didn't lose any chickens. None of them are injured. All of them are happy and free right today. As she's going back to sleep, she hears a noise on the porch. So she wakes me up again. We run outside to the porch, and these possums are not that scared of us. They don't run away. And it was a little adolescent possum, very small. I'm really suspecting that he was not interested in eating our chickens last night. He just wanted the feed, because our chickens are bigger than that possum. Used to have a trail cam, but it stopped working. Otherwise, I'd put a trail cam out and see how serious the problem is this year. Last year, we had so many raccoons, it was just a mess out here every night. Even though our system looks pretty cheaply put together, it really does protect our chickens from harm. If you'll click that super thanks button down there, I'd really appreciate it. So I hope I can inspire you to start now, so you can work through your bugs, so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.